Hello, good day, and welcome back to the channel. It's always beautiful to have you here with us. Today, very quickly, we are going to do an introduction to an aspect of microbiology that we call forensic microbiology. So, we'll do a quick introduction into forensic microbiology. What is forensic microbiology? Forensic microbiology is that aspect of microbiology that uses our knowledge of microbiology to use to solve crimes. So, forensic microbiologists work, closely with law enforcement agents to be able to solve crimes. Now we know that the knowledge of microbiology is the knowledge of different types of microorganisms and how they act, how they exist, how they interact in the environment. So the knowledge of bacteria, viruses, parasites, protozoa, all of them together is what we have in microbiology. Now, when we use that knowledge to be able to fight crime, when we use that knowledge to be able to solve crimes that can occur, such as rape, such as injury, and all these different kind of crimes, is what we do in forensic microbiology. So it's that simple. It is the use of our knowledge of microbiology to use to help law enforcement to solve different crimes. Now, very quickly, we'll look at what are some of the roles that microorganisms play in different crime scenes. If we're going to help law enforcement to be able to solve crimes, what are some of the roles that microorganisms play? Now, one of the first roles that microorganisms could play is post-mortem interval estimation. Post-mortem interval estimation. Now, what does that mean? If an individual dies, if somebody dies, we know that originally there are microorganisms within the body of the individual. And now, when the individual dies, there's what we call a microbial succession. That is, the composition of the community of microorganisms within the individual will change. And it is not just a random change, it changes, it's a sequenced change. So, based on that knowledge, knowing that there's going to be a change in the microbial constitution of the microbial communities in that dead body, it is possible for microbiologists to use this knowledge to determine the time when the person died. It's an estimate. We'll be able to estimate the time of death of the individual based on microbial successions. So samples will be taken from the mouth, from the stomach, from the gut, from different sites of the human body, and then based on the current composition of the microorganisms in those samples, microbiologists are able to estimate the time at which the individual died. That's one of the things that can be done using microorganisms. As that's the role of microorganisms in solving crime. Another thing that could be done is what we call microbial fingerprinting. Now, in the instance that somebody has suffered an assault or a rape or anything, a crime, and then it is possible to be able to identify microorganisms that are present on on the victim, the person who has been the victim of such a crime. And it's also possible to use that knowledge to match with different suspects, different people who are suspected to be perpetrators of this crime. Microorganisms from their personal belongings, from their bodies, can also be taken, and then analysis can be done. Some of these analyses are done all the way to phylogenetic characteristics to be able to determine if there has been any contact between these two individuals. If there has been any contact, the possibility of the exchange of microorganisms is possible, either during the fight, the slap, or the rape, or whatever may have happened in that instance. So that's microbial fingerprinting. Also, in microorganisms have their use also, in detecting of biocrimes. Many times crimes do occur, and for example, in the US, there have been attacks using different types of biological agents, such as anthrax, Bacillus anthracis, which is a bacteria. And so, in the event that such a crime occurs, either on a national, very large scale, bioterrorism, or on a smaller scale, a biocrime, the knowledge of microbiology can be used to detect what agent has been used to carry out this crime, and then not only could we detect, we could also prevent such from happening a second time. So this is an example of what knowledge of microbiology could be used to do. Also, there could be instances where there's the outbreak of foodborne disease. Let's say a foodborne infection, there's an outbreak of such an infection. Microbiologists could also use their knowledge of microbiology, to be able to solve the problem, to be able to detect the organism that is causing this foodborne infection. And when these organisms have been detected, and then, the right steps can be taken to solve this problem. Now, apart from that, also, in the instance of a sexual assault, a rape, if a rape occurs and an individual, a lady or even a man is raped, there's always the possibility of, taking samples from the victim and also taking from the suspected perpetrators, and then doing analysis on those samples. Samples can be taken from the genitals of both the victim and suspected perpetrators, and these samples, microbial analysis can be done to determine if the same kind of microorganisms can be seen on both victim and perpetrators, and this can be traced. The origin of these microorganisms can be traced, and if they are traced and they are seen to have the same origin based on what we refer to as phylogenetic analysis, then it's possible to match victim and perpetrator. And so through that way, microbiologists can help in the solving of crime. So these are just some of the ways that the knowledge of biology can be used to help law enforcement to solve different crimes. So it's wonderful. This is just a preamble of our discuss on forensic microbiology. We'll still do a little more on it. So these are some of the ways that microorganisms are used, to the knowledge of microorganisms are used by microbiologists to help law enforcement to be able to, find out crime, find perpetrators of crimes, different kind of crimes. Thank you for listening, and I hope you did understand what we said. You can ask questions. Remember to like, share our content, and also ask us questions. We'll be ready to answer. Have a beautiful day.